We're still in. No, we're afternoon now. It's not good morning. It's good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon. It's
afternoon, sir.
morning for me.
All
It
right.
is still for the next 18 minutes the morning for me,
What if you just
which
woke
is
up 2 hours
fantastic.
ago? Does it still count as morning?
I wish I just woke up two
I'm
hours
just.
ago. No,
I'm
I've
just
been up.
kidding.
I went to the doctor today and
Oh, really?
found out that
How's the
I.
rash?
No. This is a different
Oh,
different kind of
not the
doctor,
rash. Oh, sorry.
not the rash doctor. No. This is so it was about my wrist. It turns out I do not have nerve degeneration in my wrist,
Yay!
which is
Woo!
great. And so the
Stock
basic
celebration song.
takeaway, yes, that's a guy should put one of those in. Just yeah.
Yeah.
The what this means is that I can start working back up to playing guitar more, and I'm not going to do more damage. And I have options, and one of those options is what's called this is going to be fascinating. I'm just going to cut all this. It's called a steroid pack, and so it's a series of pills. He's like, think about ibuprofen supercharged, and he's like, this will get rid of all the inflammation in your arm completely. So I might keep that handy and
Man,
then
so
go
an
down that road.
anabolic steroid.
An oral, yeah.
I thought you're gonna have this huge, massive wrist.
That's right. Just be so jacked. I was going to tell you that I got a text from our good buddy Jeff Barlow, who made the picture that's right over
Oh,
your shoulder right there.
yes. My
Yes.
new artwork
Uh,
project.
he texted me and said that today, after listening to the physicality episode, he's just thinking about his grandpa hands, and I love it. And I think that really what really stuck out to me, by the way, is like that's truly, honestly, probably one of my favorite moments from the podcast, just with you in general, is watching you feel the deep love you have for your child. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Really great.
Watch me or crumble and blubber. Um,
Well, if that's you crumbling and blubbering, you're really bad at it because it was quite coherent.
that was honestly a poignant moment in my life. That there are a few instances where you pinpoint that moment, a moment. For me, it was that
Yeah.
moment with my daughter. I remember the moment when I saw 9/11 happen in my college dorm room on the news,
Hmm.
and I remember everything about it. The first song that came on after that news, I walked out into my lobby, and it was Alanis Morissette singing "Everything's Gonna Be Fine."
Hmm.
Got one hand in my pocket. Yep. And I just remember that moment. I remember how I felt. I remember everything going on. And other things like that. And that was one of those moments. And I was looking at my hand, and it wasn't my eyes. It was all my hand. It was my hand completely. Anyway,
Hmm.
physicality.
Lovely. Yeah. Physicality, baby. Man, we've got two episodes in the can, both of which I've really enjoyed doing.
And by in the
Next
can,
week's
you mean like done.
yes, not in my butt. That's true. Um,
I meant the
we
bathroom.
have that too. No, we've got the suicidality one will have come out by this point, and then the holiday episode will have come out. And I believe this episode will be coming out on Christmas Eve, if I'm not
Oh, yeah. Well,
mistaken.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas! And if you're listening to this after Christmas, I hope it was a good one. I guess I don't know. Anyway, the point is theme song.
Honestly, I do look forward to the theme song every time. As we lead it, we do the sound checks and reviews, and I listen to the opening bit. I'm always anticipating that theme song. There's always this energetic opening, and then the end,
Yeah,
the song is a nice transition back into reality. I like it.
yeah. I
Well,
like the theme song. I don't know if anyone ever hears it, but I always hear it. There's a hi hat counting. It goes, tsk, 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 tsk. And so I always catch that first, and I go, "Oh, it's coming." I mean, I put it there myself, so I know when it's coming. But that's not the point.
We already talked about creativity. It's okay to enjoy and like the things that you create. That's what I'm doing.
Yes,
I'm
it
doing the sound
is.
checks, and I'm not sound checks, but I'm doing the reviews, and I'm listening to our own podcast, and I'll snicker and I'll laugh, and my wife is like, "So laughing at yourself again, huh?" I'm like, well, yeah, I'm hilarious.
I'm funny, and I'm charming, and I'm humble.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my humility.
So today we're going to be talking about burnout, which
Right.
is a bit of a hot button thing. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this and I was like, Pete's probably super burnt out on school right now.
Oh my gosh. So let me tell you where I am right now.
Okay.
um, I'm not a PhD candidate yet. I'm a first year PhD student, and we're in
Hmm.
finals week. Statistics has always been really troublesome, and the
Real quick,
final, yeah.
what's the difference between being a PhD candidate and a PhD student?
After your courses, you take like 2 years of like class, like school structured class, and then you sit for
Mm.
an exam halfway. And if you pass the exam, then you become a PhD candidate and you start doing your own research to present a dissertation. So halfway
Oh,
through the program, you kind of you go from a student to like a baby PhD and start doing
I had no
research.
idea.
Yeah. Well, in any case, here I am in finals week. The statistics test has 7 sections, and I spent all of yesterday doing 5 of them, and this morning doing 2 of them. And for better or worse, all the sections are done. I've submitted my assignments, and I tell you what, I can't get the feeling that grades are important. They tell us that they aren't. They say you're in a PhD program, like there's nothing to build on. Nobody looks at your grades. You just have a PhD. It's just you know what happens when you get a what do you call a PhD student who gets a 70 on the final exam? Doc,
PhD student, doctor.
we
Yeah.
call him doctor. Yeah, exactly. So it's just do your best. They keep saying, but in the back of my mind, it's like yes, but I need an A because 12 years of school has pushed that on me.
Yeah. So what is it? How do you are you burnt out?
Am
Maybe
I
I was
burnt out?
incorrect in my
Well,
assessment.
let me pull up the definition I found. So you know that
The dictionary
the
defines
no no no
burnout
no
as
no 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 no. This is from you know um sorry about that.
that's okay.
The decades of research into burnout. I kind of went back a little bit. So in 1974, there was a guy with a
Hmm.
fun name named Freudenberger, and he wrote a. That was actually his name. Stop laughing at Mr. Freudenberger, okay?
My name is Freudenberger. Would you like a Freudenberger?
Yeah,
All right.
when you bite into it, it has feelings about what it thinks about that.
There you go.
So the original concept that he published in a article named "Staff Burnout" in the Journal of Social Issues, 1974, was that workers find themselves under increasing pressure to succeed in helping others or to do something for someone else, demand more of yourselves than you're able to give, and ultimately exhaust yourself.
Hmm.
So it
Is
says,
that the first study involving burnout?
I don't know if it's the first one. I didn't go that deep. I just know it was a really
Hmm.
early one, which I was looking for. And the three-part definition seemed to fit. It was particularly geared towards helping professions. So they talked about pressure to succeed in helping others. I think in helping others could be substituted for any kind of job that you have. Increased pressure to succeed is the important part. I
Hmm.
feel that when I'm talking about grades and my need to get an A, even though everyone's saying, well, it's a PhD, don't worry about grades, just get it done, do your best. But I feel the pressure to succeed, and to me, succeed means 90 or above,
Hmm.
and demand more of myself than I'm able to give. I have things around the house, and I'm running out of time. I have another final due tomorrow. So am I um, giving more of myself than I have? I don't know. Maybe I'm skirting that line. And then
I mean,
ultimate,
certainly from the outside, that's been my concern is you're doing house renovations and schooling and a podcast. And I feel a little guilty about it, if we're being honest, but not guilty enough to tell you to stop. Anyway, please keep going.
yeah, ultimately exhaust yourself. That's kind of like the end point. I think that's when we all know that we are burnt out. Is when you're sitting
Yeah.
there on the couch at home and you have a bag of chips and you know you have things to do, but you're like distracted by YouTube shorts and you don't know why this is so exhausting. It's because you're exhausted. Your brain is like reverting to factory settings and you're going back to scrolling YouTube. I think that's the exhausted part. And I think that's the end point.
Hmm. So
Anyway,
based
so
on that, are you burnt out?
am I burnt out? I think I'm on the path to burn. I was taught that burnout is a path, not a destination. So
Okay.
if burnout is a path, I'm definitely on it, but I look to get off of it here in the next week or so.
Okay. Well, I hope that you get off in the next week as well.
Thank you for looking out
It's
for me.
nice and relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah, my
I
whole
unfortunately will not be able to help you get off, but
oh man,
anyway,
don't know how to recover
burnout.
from the crass comments about my holistic health.
Yeah, yeah. Look, we're just being emotional men. We're just emotionally talking about the entire experience, and you know, I just want to help you however I can
Yeah.
within reason.
Well, I'm sure physicality is part of recovering from burnout, but we're talking about recovery. I mean, like recovering as if like you've crashed and burned. Like burnout obviously sounds like um, burning a match or burning a candle all the way down, or like a piece of paper in a fireplace. It is burnt out. It is done. But what I just
Yeah,
said was burnout is a path, not a destination. So is burnout an appropriate term? Are you burnt out? So everyone will say, well, not yet, because it's I'm not dead, so I'm not burnt out.
that is a very fair point.
So would you
Never thought about it
say
like that.
burnout is a misnomer?
I would not personally, but I've also you've given me new information that I have not had a chance to synthesize.
Synthesize, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know. I think that my experience of burnout, both personally and in people that I see, is a sense there's nothing left to give. Like I think what you're talking about though is that there's a difference between I have a finite resource that I cannot replenish and I'm out of fuel and I need to get more fuel to burn. Is that a fair way of distinguishing between the two?
I'm afraid of like the fuel is really important because people in whatever profession they're in will say it's me. I need more fuel, so I need to rest more. I need to eat more. I need to engage in like my hobbies more. I need to do something to refuel myself for this job that I'm in, so I can do better.
Hmm.
And um, some other things that I read were that it is not necessarily completely up to the individual. It is not the fuel that they have or the strength that they have. Um, it's the environment that they're in.
Hmm.
And sometimes the environment that we're in, um, coupled with the way that we are, just our personalities, don't jive. And so you can, as my dad said when I left the Air Force the first time, I left aircraft maintenance because of this. I had to deal with the feeling of quitting, like I was quitting this job because it was too hard. I felt really
Hmm.
bad that I was like, I'm. My dad was in aircraft maintenance for how many years, and I can't cut it for 7. Yeah, just over 7. And my dad even told me, like, you can continue to wear a shoe that gives you blisters. You'll put moleskin on it. You'll, um, cut a hole in the back, whatever. You can continue to wear that shoe, but why would you? And we blame our foot for the problem when really the burnout goes two ways.
The issue is before the line, before you cross it, there's a sense of guilt, like I should be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you cross the line, it's a sense of I hate everything and I want nothing to do with this, and it can all burn to the ground.
Yeah, and then you blame the environment. Like
Yeah,
once you are completely gone, then it's not you. And I think it's a realization at that point. You're like, wow, I have nothing, and the demand is still there, taking from me. Wow, maybe it's the demand's fault. Maybe it's the environment's fault, and I think that's the turning point when you are, yeah,
yeah. And to be fair, sometimes it is. Sometimes the environment is really bad. Sometimes
yeah.
it's just a toxic experience because they're asking too much. They, the proverbial they,
The system, yeah.
yourself could even be the proverbial they, but
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like it's completely the environment. Like if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you should leave. I think it's a two-way thing, and that if you are burning out, you should look at yourself. Are you taking care of yourself? Is the foot inside this shoe? Does the foot have anything wrong with it? But I think when I'm working with people with high stress, they're only looking at the foot, and you need to look at the
hmm,
environment. You need to look at the shoe. Like, am I wearing a combat boot while I'm trying to jog a marathon? That kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Make sure it fits. And I guess this kind of coming back to you being burnt out or on the path of burnout. Does this mean that you should quit your school program?
Well, like I said, I look forward to being off the path to burnout here in 2 weeks. And so my expectation is hopeful, and hope really
Hmm.
helps a lot. I know I realize that the environment would be stressful. I still think it fits me. I know it'll give me something in the future, and it's not a continuous beat down of expectations and failures. It's just stressful. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I love that we're talking a lot about guilt and failure because I think so much of the stress that comes around this is like I'm failing, I'm not good enough, you know. And this
Yeah.
shows up. We were talking before the green room, personal feelings of like I'm not doing enough. I'm failing. I'm burnt out on what I'm doing. But the problem is me. If I were a better person, I could do the things that are being asked of me. And it's like a dangerous thought process to be involved in. That it clearly has to be me. This is the only reason this wouldn't be working. Just as it's equally dangerous to be the only reason this isn't working is because you, environment, are
Yes,
failing me.
exactly. Like this, if I had left aircraft maintenance and I said it is not okay for anyone to be in aircraft maintenance, this system is completely broke. It's wrong for everybody. I'm out of here because it's bad, and taking no ownership of like it doesn't fit me, and
Mhm.
I'm in that equation. But I'm
And
gonna,
this is maybe a risky statement that is for a different episode that we haven't scheduled but have kind of talked about, which is religious trauma can look like this too.
mm,
Like I was hurt by religion. Anyone who belongs to religion, therefore, is bad because religion is bad because it hurt me.
oh,
Well,
absolutely. Even historically, like the Crusades endorsed by religion means that religion is evil and causes atrocities, that kind of thing.
yeah. And, we can't deny that religion has had a pretty terrible hand in justifying some really terrible
Right, but
things.
I think religion is the shoe that someone is in, and I think we've had some pretty rotten feet inside some pretty skewed shoes. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. A joint effort.
Yeah,
People utilizing a bad system for
Pe-
bad reasons.
people who didn't feel enough guilt about themselves blame the environment.
Yes.
So I wanted to when you say like feeling guilty about failure or being burnt out. Something happened last night. My son is in wrestling, and he's good. He's pretty decent at wrestling. And the meet beforehand, he won both of his matches, and he talked about how hard they were, but he ended up pinning both of the guys, which was awesome. And yesterday, um, well, I won't read the text, but basically he said, "Dad, I lost." The next test said, "I'm sorry." Yeah,
Oh, oh.
and I was like, dude. And so I had to switch gears into like, okay, he's not getting this. Like, I need to go seriously. So I just said, losing a match is not a mistake. It's not a failure. It just means you're being touched by failure's refining fire, or something like that.
Oh, Pete. Poetic.
Yeah. um, and he and I talked about it later, but that his tendency to like you fail at something, it could be you, it could be the environment, or both, but to take it all on yourself is inappropriate. I'm really sorry that I'm burned out. I'm sorry that I don't have any more to give after working for 6 months nonstop. I just wish I had more. What? What?
Yeah.
Why are you
Yeah.
apologizing for all that effort?
Yeah. It's hard to uh my wife is a great example of someone who works really, really hard all the time and is just like spread way, way too thin.
Hmm.
And part of that is because of external stuff, and part of it is internal stuff. This inner drive to be, I have to do everything. I have to do everything. And from the outside, it's hard because I just want to be like, yo, you're good enough, and I love you. And you can say that all you want, but watching someone go through that kind of burnout where they're really struggling, and having them go, you can say that, but I know that I'm not good enough because if I was, I wouldn't be
Ooh,
burnt out.
man, that yeah. If I was a better person, then I wouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I full fairness, that's me last night. Like I was telling you before, like I've had a rough couple days trying to renegotiate some business dealings with a landlord. And it's been really rough because it's been not handled to the best of their ability. And I feel confident in saying, yes, I am a part of the system, but I'm pretty sure that the average person could look at the facts and go like, they could have done that differently. And I think we're reaching a resolution today. But last night was like I have nothing left to give, and I felt like I didn't have value if I didn't have something to give, and it chewed me up and spat me out. It was real rough.
yeah, I remember talking about this, and I didn't know how much to like say. So, Taylor, tell me about how you're doing. But I'm glad you brought it
Hmm.
up because you're dealing
Yeah.
with a lot of stress yourself too.
Support for the Emotional Men podcast comes from McCary Counseling. McCary Counseling is a great way for folks living in Washington State or Texas to access mental health care. We see folks anywhere in those two places virtually, or if you're just north of Austin in the Round Rock area, happy to see you in person. Reach out to us, our website, mccarrycounseling.com, and email us for more details.
Usually when people talk about how to avoid burnout, it's usually personal stuff. Um, but since you and I have been talking, it's kind of come out that it's both the person and environment.
Yeah.
I experienced that in a previous career, and anyway, my son experienced that. Feeling completely, he's self-blaming a lot for losing a wrestling match, but
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, dude, sometimes people are better. It's just the environment. You keep demanding more of yourself, and you can't win, then you're going to exhaust yourself. That's burnout."
Would you say that he felt like, did he classify it as I'm burnt out on wrestling?
You know, he was, I think that night he's ready to approach it again today. They have another meet today, and he has the option to wrestle again, and he was eager to do that. Um, but that day, I think, knowing he only had one match and then he lost that one, he was like, "That's it, I'm done." Like he was mentally checked out, emotionally done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
As a father, what did you see your goal or your purpose as to help him unburn out or to support him as he burnt out? Like, what did you see your job as?
Oh, that's a great question. What did I hope to happen? Um, I hoped that he would express disappointment in the loss without being coupled with self-blame. Like
Hmm.
it would be like, "Dang it, Dad, I lost." But the "I'm sorry" really took me aback. Like why are you apologizing? Like, have you gone to every practice? Yes. Are you eating right and exercising? Yes. Like he's doing all the things wrestlers should do. Um, and he just lost because someone else was better than he was. But he
Hmm.
took it really personally. Um, that's in terms of a failure. That's a very discrete event. Like there was one thing you tried to do it, you failed. But in terms of burnout can seem like over weeks of constant failure. Like you're coming home late because you're at the office too long, and you see that as a failure.
Hmm.
And it happens over the last few weeks. Is it a failure? I don't know, but it kind of feels like it is. And so it's not like a discrete event. Burnout in terms of professional burnout can be gradual and perpetuate over a long period of time.
Hmm.
Um, in 1998, 20 years after that initial definition we talked about,
With Mr. Freudenberger?
Mr. Freudenberger, yeah, that's right. Someone quoted him, and this person's name was Farber. Um, and this
Father,
was
may I
a
have another Freudenberger, please? Yes, son. One more burger, Freudenberger for my son, Mr. Faber.
Farber. Yeah, this paper was presented at the American Psychological Association in 1998,
Hmm.
and it was geared towards teachers, just as an example of possible burnout. Um, they talked about three different types of burnout in teachers, which I thought was interesting. The first was called worn out, which is like tired.
Hmm.
Two is frenetic, meaning what? How would you describe frenetic? It's like high energy, wiry, like disorganized and shifty, and trying to get everything together. Frenetic teachers, and
Okay.
then the third category was under challenged. And I think that's
Hmm.
what I mentioned earlier, going back to factory settings and sitting on the couch and just scrolling through YouTube videos, because engaging in step one makes you think of step 100, like all of it all together. So
Well, this
you
is what you
become,
talked about with building the shelves too. Like, I'm at step two, I can see step seven, and someone's like, "Hey, I need this thing."
yes, yeah. And so you just fail to start. You fail to launch because you don't want to deal with the all of it all at once.
Hmm.
What Farber said after those three categories, it's noted that the most effective way of treating burnout for teachers, anyway, is through efforts to change the nature or functioning of the school.
Hmm.
That is, to prevent these disorders from occurring by making schools more user-friendly place for teachers.
Yeah, as somebody married to a teacher working in Texas, good luck with that.
Yeah, because now you're dealing with like hardcore policy.
Hmm.
And my wife
Written by
was
people who aren't teachers.
Yeah, aren't teachers. My wife even said that like we talk about teaching reform, and her classes, she was a teacher, and her classes were always like there's always teaching reform. It's just a perpetual thing. They're always changing. They talk about teaching reform as it's not a single thing. It's just constant teaching reform. And this what I thought was interesting about this one by Farber in 98 was that he talked about the environment. He was talking about the shoe and not the foot.
Hmm.
Um, so that's one
You know,
way.
I would say with teachers specifically and explicitly, here's my bias: is I fully think the problem is the shoe, because the shoe is manufactured by a non-shoe warehouse with people who don't have feet.
By people who
Genuinely.
don't have feet. Yeah,
Yeah, here
exactly.
is a foot covering for your foot hoof. Put your foot hoof covering on. What are you talking about? This is answering none of the needs that need to be addressed. It's not actually creating what we need to create, and it's making my entire existence hellish.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Absolutely. My older brother, who's dang, I wish I was as quick-witted as he was. But my older brother, he says the only reason that we have teachers still is because we have people who are willing to be abused. Go into that teaching environment and then they stay, and every time you complain, they say, "Find your why," over and
Oh,
over again.
dude. This is a little short tangential rant, but like one of the things, and this happens in community mental health organizations too all the time, is people go like, well, it's a calling. You're called to this, so you make it work. No, you're justifying terrible behavior and terrible policy and terrible pay because there's someone that says they feel like it's their calling, so we'll just exploit that to get what we want out
Oh,
of you.
absolutely.
No, no, I'm doing my best not to swear right now. It makes me so angry.
Everyone forgive Taylor. He's a little sweary today.
A little sweary, but
It's
I've
okay.
sworn in the past, and sorry, mom.
But that's okay. That means that you only swear when you really, really mean it. If you can hold yourself back when when it doesn't reach that threshold, that means that there is a threshold.
I can taste the words in my mouth.
Um, he ended the study here, Farber. He
Hmm.
said, "We have there's a great need to treat teachers in ways that make their personal and professional satisfaction a paramount part of the entire educational process." Which
What
is,
a novel idea.
I know, it was so objectively third person, whereas the it seems like the application of this is we need to make sure that they like have enough homeroom time to get the lesson done. We need to make sure that they I don't know, I'm not a teacher, but I mean it's all about the person. It's all find your why. We're always talking about the foot constantly.
Yeah.
Maybe
It
not
kills
just
me.
about teachers, but even in the military. We're talking about the military, how do you avoid burnout? Okay, we're going to talk about what you can do to avoid burnout. Oh, really? Well, what about my boss? What about the squadron policy of like I've been in the last 3 holidays. I've worked on the flight line the last 3 holidays, and I'm due for it not be my turn. Well,
Hmm.
sorry, buddy. Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, so this is one of the things that you and I you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The idea that maybe people are emotional beings and they make decisions based on emotion should be perhaps the first consideration in trying to build a workplace that makes people feel satisfied and want to keep coming to work. But that's a conversation for
exactly.
a different day.
And we're talking about jobs where people have intrinsic, like I think they have, I don't know what the word is, that the caring professions, and well, the military isn't really one of those, but they have, like, they come into the military because this strong emotional sense of patriotism or options or sometimes desperation. But I
Obligations,
mean,
my family.
obligation. Yeah, you like, the military is a place where you go in because you have a reason. You didn't just maybe fall into that job. Same with teaching. Same, I think, with mental health. They are things where people deliberately care, like they really want to
Hmm.
go in because they care about people. And so, yeah, there's a risk of being abused there.
Yeah. As we're talking about this, I realize we have yet to define what it feels like. So let's get
Oh,
physical, baby.
go
What
for
does
it.
it feel like to recognize burnout in yourself? And I think that I think a lot of people will kind of resonate with these ideas and recognize them. But it's like a sense of being spread too thin. It's like that great quote from Lord of the Rings. I feel like butter spread over too much toast, right? Just that sense of like, I am trying to cover everything, and there's not nearly enough of me to evenly and fairly distribute over the sense of what needs to get done. There's a sense of decreased energy. Like, I don't have the sense that I can physically make myself do this because I'm so out of energy. Like another project, I go ahead, throw it on. It'll get done
Yeah,
at some point, but it's not going to get done well or fast. There's a sense of anhedonia, which, if you remember from a previous lesson, there's a pop quiz for you. What does anhedonia mean, children?
chirp,
You
chirp,
fail, Pete.
chirp, chirp.
Ugh.
Hey, I'm not a child. What the crap?
Sorry. What does anhedonia mean, Pete?
It means not caring, low energy, bowl of oatmeal is what I think of.
Bowl of oatmeal. Yeah, you don't get enjoyment out of the things you used to get
Oh,
enjoyment out of.
Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, there you go. And there's a decreased sense of accomplishment where, like, you know, I did the thing, I accomplished one thing, but there's so many other things I need to accomplish that who cares if the one thing is done? There's no sense of like I did it. It's just I now have moved the one step out of the way so the 50 others can smash me in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, you're never celebrating. It's always just punishment.
Yeah, and that's generally what burnout feels like. I know
Mm.
for me in my practice, part of why I'm doing this podcast or why I want to do the podcast is because I just needed to not only do the one thing anymore. Again, not because I don't like my job and not because I think it's not fulfilling and I love my clients and I enjoy talking to them and all that stuff. And at some point, it's like I need something to change or I'm going to lose my mind. It's the lack of diversity is making me feel like there's no point to any of this from a very selfish point of view.
Because when I rejoined the military, I had the same problem where I was driving for like 6 months, driving the same way to work every day, seeing
Hmm.
clients at the same times. I had a system set up to where I was, days were looking the same, and I was starting to go I had a little bit island fever, even though I was in landlocked Idaho. I just felt a little stir crazy because
Hmm.
yeah, you're like, where are the milestones? It's just every day is kind of the same.
Which is not
Milestones. That's a good,
great.
milestones are so important.
Yes, milestones, absolutely. And not, I think beyond that, milestones and an end date. I have a client who I enjoy very much who worked a company into existence and then left the company because they wanted him to keep working it into existence. And we were talking about it, and he said, the problem is that it never stopped. I think he said like when COVID hit, like I went into triage mode and I triaged the business as an emergency room technician would, and then it just never stopped. And after 5 years, I just can't. I physically cannot be constantly putting out fires because no one else is willing to do it because I'm doing too much. And so that sense of, when does it end? Having an end date
Hmm.
makes burnout so much less potent because I can go to this point and then I know I get to stop. And
Because then
that
it's a goal.
so
Then it's,
crucial. Yeah,
yeah. Because then it
a
is an
milestone.
accomplishment. I think having all that stress built up um, with an end date means that all that stress is an accomplishment. It's a task. You compartmentalized it into 2 months or 6 months or one task or whatever it is. If there's an end date, that means it has boundaries. That's probably why this finals month is doable for me, where I'm like, yes, by next week, all this stuff will be done.
Which is so important.
That's I have thought about as I drive to work often. Um, One particular day, I was thinking about uh, peace, and I
Mm,
know this might seem like a hard left turn, but stick with me. Um, Peace doesn't mean no hostilities. It doesn't mean no violence. And as I'm looking out over Knoxville, Tennessee, I was like, this place could be described then as peaceful because there's no war going on here. What does it mean then? But we know people who are not at peace, and they don't have stability, and they're not at peace inside or outside. Their lives can be chaotic, and we know people who are not peaceful. And so, what is it? It doesn't just mean there's no war. And I was thinking, what do they not have? And I lighted on the idea of hope. If you don't
mm.
have hope, can you not have peace? And hope, when you say, is so important to have an end date. I see hope as hoping for something to get better. I hope for a change. I hope for an increase in something. And you really believe that hope. Oh my goodness. How it makes all of your efforts worth it. And you can have peace inside of you knowing that you hope for something better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That would that would combat this sense of anhedonia that nothing is going to get better. Anhedonia is like a color that shades your life. Um, Not as dark as like clinical depression, but still takes all those bright colors and mutes them. And it does make your accomplishments seem less. But I think hope is the antidote. Hope and gratitude. I think hope and gratitude.
Yeah. So how do you generate hope if you don't have control over the shoe?
I set I set small goals, small things that I know. either will happen or that I can make happen in the near future. If I don't have hope that, like, let's say I've been in community mental health where they were giving me a lot of traumatized children, which I expressly said I don't. I'm having a hard time with kids, and they're like, "Got it, cool, here." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Anyway, so constantly dealing with this pressure to work with kids, and I saw a lot of success, and I would focus my mind on um, one kid that I knew was close to graduating. And not that I didn't care about my other clients, but I knew that they were out a little bit. So my hope was spread over several people, but I was really hopeful for this one kid. And I would see their scores come down, and over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I did feel hope for this one person. I still remember her name, and felt a lot of reward when she graduated. And I had this little certificate that I used to print out for kids, and it said, "You graduated meeting with Pete." So you meet with Pete, you know, you still certificate, and their parent would come for the last session, and I'd say, "You did a great job. Here are the ways that, like, you changed. Here's how your thinking changed, and here's the certificate. Thanks."
That's lovely.
And it was really fun, and um, I found that that really helped me build hope. And then I transitioned this work into my next low hanging fruit kid, who was, you know, I had a lot of work on that kid, and sometimes that would betray me, and the kid wouldn't go well, and it wouldn't work. But trying to spread out all of that hope onto everybody, or not recognizing the low hanging fruit, not recognizing who am I most hopeful for, and just kind of working every day with everybody, just coming into work, and I don't care, they're all the same. That discolors your experience. That really is unfair to your clients, unfair to you, because everyone is not the same. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that personally, that's what I did in therapy.
What do you think if someone's listening to this and they're working like a phone job, for example, answering answering questions about a thing they have no control over and they have no capacity
I worked in a call
to.
center.
I have also worked in a call center, so this is maybe a little
Oh my
personal.
gosh.
But like, let's say
That's
you
the
have a job working
worst.
for a company. You're like, the company doesn't care about me. They're trying to protect money, not people. I'm trying to protect people, not money. I have no control over the system of which I am a part, and yet I still feel burnt out. And you're telling me to have hope. What am I supposed to hope for? Because the company's not going to change. They're not going to give me a new role that just because I want one. What hope could I possibly have?
Yeah, that is a great question. I don't think then it would be professional hope, because as Farber said, it needs to your environment should work on your personally and professionally satisfying characteristics. And
Hmm.
some of that might be up to you, and some of it is on the environment. First off, recognizing the environment doesn't care and it's not going to change. So I think if you're coming to work with hope that, you know, false hope, that would lead to that
Optimism and delusion. Look at us
optimism versus delusion. That's
synthesizing.
right. Synthesize.
Yes.
Anyway, you're coming to work with this hope that, like, hey, maybe today will be different. Um, you
Yeah, it's a
know that
bad hope.
the shoe is what it is. The shoe is what it is. So, do you have hope that I worked in the call center when I was going to school, and I knew what it was. I knew my time there was limited. I knew it was just a throwaway job just to get me some money to take girls on dates. Like that's really all it was.
Hmm.
So I did not really hang my hat personally on that job. I saw my my personal stuff was really at home. I was not. What do you say? If somebody is really invested in that job, I'm afraid I couldn't identify with that. I don't know.
Hmm.
I would ask them what that's like to be so personally invested in their job in a call center,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't know that experience. I was not invested, and my personal hope came from outside that job.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is the thing number one is don't have hope in the job, have hope in yourself within the job.
Oh, that's a brilliant. Yes, that exactly. Yes. So I trust my feet no matter
Hmm.
what. I will trust that my foot can handle this for how long? You know, I bet I could handle it for this much. And not expecting the shoe to soften up, not expecting the job to change or anything. I have hope that I could handle it for that much, that long.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Myself, yeah, trusting, having hope in myself given the environment.
Yeah, I think that's kind of key here. And I think that radical acceptance is an idea we've talked about before. What can I actually control? I cannot control the shoe. I cannot control the materials of the shoe. I can't control if, like, before I put the shoe on, I put my hand in and like pull the leather as much as I leather. If you imagine having leather shoes, pull the cloth. Let's be real here. Pulling the cloth so it's as loose as possible.
Hmm.
um, and then just making sure that, like, I know that I don't need to try and push against this with my toes because it's not going to move. So that's the wrong way to approach this. What hope do I have? And I think, constantly looking for a new pair of shoes, as it were, and understanding that, like, I can't control if I'm going to get a new job. I can't make a new thing happen, but I can certainly keep looking. And what can I really control? I can control how I go to work. I can control what I do while I'm at work. I can control the way I interact with the work. I cannot control what the work is. I cannot control what they make me do as I do the work. What can I actually control? That has to be the seed of hope.
What can I control? That is a great thing. And then when you do change your environment, actually, then that would be your sense of accomplishment because you have hope in yourself and it worked and you did it.
Hmm.
I did not have that when I
Absolutely.
left the Air Force because I thought it was the foot. I thought it was me that was the problem because there's so
Oh,
many
dude.
people who enjoy that job and do really well at it, and it's an amazing job. I've had instances in aircraft maintenance that were just breathtaking, and so to leave that, I was like, well, what is wrong with me? But
Yeah.
if I'd say I'm going to find a job that fits me better, what do you know? I found one. Then it would have been like,
Yeah, yeah,
got it.
you left the Air Force and became a therapist, and you're
Yeah.
killing it, dude.
Thanks.
I may have told this story in the podcast before, but when I first graduated from college with my master's degree, the first job I got was really rough. It was really bad. Um, I lasted maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and they ultimately fired me because I was with my supervisor who was younger than me, who was
Mm.
marginally more experienced than me, but I'm talking like I was 30 years old. She was 24. And she's like, all right, well, let's sit down and make sure you know how to call customers or call clients. I said, ma'am, I'm 30 years old and have a master's degree. I know how to set up appointments with clients. She's like, well, this is just part of the process and you've got to do it. And I looked at her, I was like, I'm not making phone calls in front of you so you know that I know how to make an appointment. It's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
so they fired me like a week
Uh,
later. And I've never forgotten that experience. And I went to another job 2 months later after being destitute poor for 2 months in Boston. Like, we had at one point
Boston.
$7. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
rough. That was a rough, that was a rough couple months. And then I got the second job and I loved it until the end when I didn't. And it got real bad real fast. It was
Oh,
like almost exactly a year to the day from when the first one ended. And I remember thinking, like, there's a pattern here, which I would say now it wasn't a pattern, it was a coincidence. It was, and even if it was a pattern, there was more, I was not the only consistent thing there. But that job also ended really bad, really poorly. And I left Boston to move back to Seattle with my wife. We were both done with Boston. And we got back to Seattle and I couldn't find a job to save my life, like, at all, at all, at all, at all. And I mean, we're talking, we got back to Seattle in January, and it took me until, well, I got a private practice client, my first private practice client in March 2015. And then I didn't get my second private practice client until August of 2015. And in the
oh my
meantime,
gosh.
it was
6.
brutal, dude. Yeah, and I was working at Seattle Children's Hospital, which to this day I cannot say enough good things about Seattle Children's Hospital. I was
Mm.
answering phones there for the switchboard operator. It's the only time I ever had a panic attack in my life because of a whole bunch of stuff. But I love that organization. But there came a point, we'll say May, where I had just applied for another job and interviewed twice, and then they just completely ghosted me. I was like, I've gone to the wrong profession. I've made a mistake. I don't have what it takes to be a therapist because every person that I've talked to who is a therapist either won't hire me or if they do, gets rid of me with great aplomb. And it was really hard. It took a lot of therapy. And
So
then when I got
you
that
didn't
second
have hope in
client,
yourself at this point.
I thought I was a major screw up, which was consistent with the story I told about myself my whole life, where I was like, well, of course you suck because it's you. Why would you expect that you don't suck? Because you are Taylor McCary and Taylor McCary sucks.
Mm.
That was hard. I got my second and third clients for my private practice came within 5 days of each other, and then it slowly started to grow. And about a week before they showed up, I finally got a job in community mental health. I was an in-school counselor for a company, and that job also ended extraordinarily bad. Where my last day, I got an email from one of the supervisors who wasn't even my supervisor. She sent an email to me, the other two supervisors, and the CEO of the company. And she said,
Whoa.
Taylor, I know you're leaving to go into private practice full time. Explicitly, she said, you don't have what it takes and you're going to fail.
Wow. Holy
Now,
cow.
first off, clearly incorrect. Second
Wait,
off,
wait, she said though, when you say she said it explicitly.
that's like almost word for word what she said. You don't have what it takes.
Wow. You know, I've run into the same attitudes from mental health administrators myself when I got fired from one. And I
Hmm.
wonder what it is in the water. Maybe it's the whole like if you can't therapize, then you supervise therapists. I don't know. If you can't teach,
Bingo.
you supervise teachers, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah, well,
why?
I will push against that. My wife has a very good friend who was a teacher with her. They were co-teachers, and now she coaches teachers. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Julia Carducci, shout out to Julia,
Well, I mean,
is an
coaching teachers,
astounding teacher.
teaching teachers is different than administrating, like being an administrator.
Yeah, very true. I think that community mental health, the people who rise to the top are just the absolute, in my experience, and this is, sorry,
Drash
my
generalization of everybody.
rash, that's extremely unfair, but my experience with people at the top of community mental health has been extraordinarily bad.
Yeah, yeah, me,
Um,
me as well. I don't know. When I was
what,
like when I was given a letter when I left, and they said something like Peter will require continued supervision to make sure he doesn't put himself, his clients, or his organization at risk. I was like,
unbelievable,
what? What?
unbelievable.
This is
I think
like
I
a
remember
kick
you
in the
getting that
pants.
letter. I think I remember
You
that.
might remember that. I probably cried at you and I got fired, but it was like, oh my gosh,
The
it was
only job I've ever been fired
unbelievable.
from has been as a therapist.
Yeah,
I've
and
never been fired from anything
I
in my life.
yeah,
It
never
was bad.
fired. I just couldn't believe it that she felt the need to say that on my way out the door. I
Well,
was
the
like,
funny thing about
what?
the third time, right? So when I left that third and final job, the last time, well, I had one more job when I moved to Austin, and that one also I did spectacularly bad. What I've learned is that one, I have a hard time working for people. I'll own my problems with my foot. I do not do well when people just tell me I'm in power and you're not, and you have to deal with it. No, I don't. You can go
Suck an
see.
egg.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I actually don't. You're wielding your power poorly, and I will not just do it because you say I have to. But I will say that when the third one happened, before I went full time in my private practice for the first time, I was so grateful that I had been fired the two times before because that was the moment it clicked. I went, oh, it actually isn't me. It's you. The problem is the system that you're trying to protect as opposed to me who's trying to focus on the clients. You want the system to be safe. I want the clients to be taken care of.
Ah,
We're not doing the same job.
we're
And
not doing the same
man,
job. Yep. That's
what a
probably it.
gift.
Is they would talk about money quite a bit during our staff meetings, and all of us as therapists were like, yeah, but we need training on this kind of treatment.
Hmm.
And they're like, what? You're asking for more money? It's like, no, we're asking for training or like something else. And they're like, nope.
Well, Pete, you were called to it. So just figure it
Yeah,
out, okay?
exactly. Find your why. And it's like to say, well, I was trained in adults and trauma. And they're like, great. Well, here's kids with behavioral issues. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Nope. Nope. That's the story of community mental health. But anyway, most of the people listening to this probably aren't in community mental health or in mental health in general. So in terms of like
Yeah.
your particular flavor of burnout, that will be up to you. I think what we're emphasizing is it may be you and your environment that you're dealing with.
Yes.
So,
And the hope for change has to come from a realistic place. It cannot come from
yes.
they will change to fit me better. You're going to have to change to fit them better too. And it may be that you won't change enough and they won't change enough for it to be comfortable. And that's going to have to be
Yeah.
okay.
We gotta. I also feel the need to interject the fact that we both talked about being fired. We are not bad therapists. I
No, you know how
swear.
I know that, Pete?
Because you told me you weren't.
That's right, because I said I was. That's right. No, because I keep track of this stuff, right? And so I started my private practice March 2015. My first client I had for on and off 7 years. Um, and that meant a lot to me. And I look at, there's lots of ways you can break it down. I'm running a business. I know how much money my business makes. I can say confidently that every year my business has made more money than the year previous. And that's not even, you account for like increases in rates and stuff. I haven't raised my rate in 4 years. Every year for the last 4 years, I've made more money as a therapist. I think I did the math one time when I moved to Texas. At that point, I'd had several hundred clients I'd seen. And of those several hundred clients, there were literally less than double digit clients who only saw me once and never came back.
Oh, I see. So they continued to engage. You had good engagement.
Very good engagement. And if I had a client call me up for a consult, I could basically guarantee I would see them in my office, which is held true.
Hmm.
And people come and they send people back and they come back themselves. And I take a lot of pride in being a good touchstone. So I know for a fact I'm good at my job. I know for a fact I'm not everybody's favorite therapist. I know for a fact that I am not a community mental health therapist, but I do know I'm good at my job. And I think, frankly, Pete, talking to you and the feedback I've gotten from people I've had listen to this, they say Pete is good at his job too. Pete clearly knows what he's doing.
Oh, well, thanks
Um,
everybody.
yeah, it's the truth. So yeah,
Um,
no, I think you are a good therapist, and I think I'm a good therapist, and I think that the community mental health systems that we got fired from could be used as a cudgel to say that we suck. And there needs to be some ownership of, certainly in my case, what I brought to it. But no, I do not accept that I am a bad therapist because I've been fired from being a therapist.
yes, I think being fired is not the litmus test for whether or not you're good or bad at your job. You may
Yeah,
own it. You may say it is. Like if I made my boss happy, that means that I'm good at this job. No, that is not what that means.
yeah,
Yeah. So being good and bad, actually, being good or bad at your job, honestly, has nothing to do with burnout. In fact, I would say, and I haven't looked this up, but I would bet that people who are better at their jobs, who care more and are proficient, have higher rates of burnout than
yeah.
people who are just learning.
Yeah, and I think part of that can come from people who make their job their identity. Like, I am this. Again, like, not to make this
Mhm.
all about being a therapist, but like, I try really hard when people say, "So what do you do?" I'm a therapist for a living, but that's not who I am.
Yeah. What do you
It's what
do?
I do. A very important
Yeah.
distinction, because if I go too far down that road, I will come to hate it, and I really don't want to hate it.
Well, look up the objectification theory from Fredrickson and Roberts, I think in 1997. Objectification happens to everybody. They take on their whole identity as one thing. You lose that one thing, you've lost yourself. And so when we're talking from Freudenberger and demanding more of yourself than you're able to give, don't make that thing that you're able to give one thing. Don't make it only one part of yourself.
Hmm.
Don't demand yourself more than you're able to give. You say, well, I can only spend so many hours doing my work, but then I have 2 hours as a dad. Or you know what? I'm going to call my mom once a week to make sure she's doing okay. And then you're a son and you're a worker. Um,
Yeah.
because I'm not asking you to give more of yourself towards your job. We're asking you to give more of yourself in as a person, as a whole person,
Hmm.
not just that one thing.
Yeah. I just looked up objectification theory and the stupid AI overview to take this with all the grain of salt. However, it's interesting. Objectification theory explains how a society that frequently treats women's bodies as objects can lead to women to habitually monitor their own appearance. It's so interesting to
It
like think
was
about
sexual,
the
yeah.
context. Sexual. It's interesting to take the context of that and like apply that to different frameworks and see that yes, this objectification of women is bad, and it also works to explain all kinds of who are you, all kinds of you
What are
know
you? What do you do? Yeah.
exactly.
They used it to explain like higher rates of depression in women in older age because sexual objectification when you get older you become less like your body isn't as young anymore, I guess.
What? Tell me more.
I
When you
don't
get
know.
older, your
Here I
body
am.
isn't as young.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, I guess so. But anyway, women who objectify themselves tend to like lose that part of themselves and become depressed more. So it's like
Yeah, it's a sense of
don't
loss.
become that one thing.
Yeah, and it's okay to be sad. A whole conversation. Blah blah blah.
It's okay.
Is it? Yeah. Well, another day. Another day.
Yeah. Is it okay to be burnt out? Yes, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
unless you say it's not. And if you say I've been burnt out for 3 months and I can't take this anymore, okay, are we talking about the shoe? Are we talking about the foot? Like what are we talking about? You say, well, in general. Well, anyway, I'm going to be burnt out for a month until finals end, and then I'm going to get
Mhm.
off the road to burnout. Great. Okay, well, I'm with you all the way. That's probably how I would approach that.
Yeah, and then once you're off that road, how do we get you replenished? And that's so important. Um, if burnout is a process, then the thing that is being burned is a process.
Mhm.
And what do you control about the way it's burned? How much heat is put into it? And obviously, you can't control everything about it, but making it a question of control and radically
Oh
accepting what
yeah.
you can and cannot control. So you stop trying to force the sky to turn dark orange, as an
Yeah.
example.
Or to change the structure of a call center because it doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah, and again, like that call center thing is like it might just be the call center job sucks, and there's that can't be changed. And so,
Mhm.
trying to force that change is akin to taking an ice pick to your eyeball to try and open up your lens.
Okay, I got it. That was a
Because
bit the stretch of a metaphor, but I think I
a little sticky. Should I try another one? It's
yeah,
akin.
okay.
It's akin
Forcing change that
to.
doesn't work.
There we go. What Pete said, way better.
Ice
Nailed
pick
it.
to your eyeball. Little tiny ice pick.
Yes, just the tiniest little.
Man, I just have these visions of like someone doing ice climbing with those hooks and those spiky shoes climbing up an eyeball. I'll get
Oh
to
my
it.
gosh, no bueno.
Yeah, nightmare fuel. You enjoy that.
Do I?
No, no, I'm saying nightmare fuel. You having fun with that nightmare. You
Oh, I
enjoy
thought you were
that.
saying that I enjoy Nightmare Fuel.
Go ahead
I'd
and
say
enjoy that.
no. Yeah, I
Yeah,
give you
cut that
permission.
for me.
Cut that. Cut that.
Yeah, everything
Uh,
I say that makes me sound dumb, just cut it all. It's
but I
only
want
the
the
smart
podcast to
words.
air. If I cut everything dumb
Oh
that you say,
man.
Pete, when you open the door that wide, I'm going to walk through it.
Oh man. Goodness gracious. All right, fine, you big dummy. That's about as much as I got. Some people like having stupid therapists, okay?
I am blonde. It's what keeps me in business. People come in, they're like, I'm really suffering. And I'm like, "Duh,
Yeah, no, go
maybe
ahead.
don't suffer. I make boom boom in pants.
And they're like, wow, I really need to help this guy. I'll stick with him for a minute.
That's how I get them. I make them think that they're there to fix me. And then I just draw out my problems. Oh man, maybe they were right and I shouldn't be a therapist.
I was like, that didn't end well. Anyway, I think this podcast helps combat burnout for several reasons. It's
Yeah,
a sense of accomplishment. I get energized for doing something. Combats anhedonia, um,
hmm
and
See, this is
it's
this is it. This
you know.
podcast is just us being extremely selfish.
Oh yeah, exactly. Everyone listening to it is like, man, these guys must be really burned out because they're just skittish on this thing.
Yeah, I'm like
Oh, what's the
kind
word?
of
Frenetic. Yeah.
frenetic. See, yeah. No, this podcast has been very good for my burnout. I won't deny it.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
on that note, thanks for talking to me today, Taylor. Tell you what,
Thank
it's
you,
been a
Pete.
treat during finals week to turn everything and turn it into a podcast instead.
Yeah, it's been a week for me as well, Pete, and looking forward to this has been very useful for me.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We got well, in about 10 days, we're having a special guest talking about forgiveness. I believe that's
Oh
the
my
next
gosh, I can't wait.
the next one.
And
That's going to be very good.
so his name is Ryan Peterson. He is a state Supreme Court judge. Is that right?
Not a Supreme Court judge. He is a circuit judge in the district. I don't know exactly how to say it. Let's see if I can come up with his
His
name
actual
here. The
credentialing.
Honorable, yeah, the Honorable Ryan D. Peterson, Fourth District Juvenile Court. He works in,
Oh, juvie.
yeah, he's a appointed judge in Utah, working for juvie, and we're going to be talking about forgiveness, which I thought was an
I
interesting
yeah.
juxtaposition, the law and forgiveness.
I'm
So,
and especially in the terms of like juvenile cases where I'm sure he's seen some stuff that's been pretty reprehensible. I can't imagine he hasn't. And so the idea of forgiveness, I can't wait. It'll be a lot of fun. And
yeah.
yeah, we got good stuff coming up.
Anyway, thanks. Love you, Taylor.
Love you too, man. See you later.
Yeah.